Hey everyone, this is a behind the scenes look at my latest spec project, a fashion shoot for the clothing brand Bonnie. All right, so I'm gonna make this quick. A little bit of background. So Bonnie, this is Malcolm's brand. If you recognize him, he was the main actor in our last spec project, a running commercial for the brand Onitsuka Tiger. Malcolm, like I said in my last couple of videos, is a creative through and through. He is an artist, an actor, a musician, and a clothing designer. And after working on Onitsuka Tiger with him, I promised him that we would make something amazing for his brand. He has been working on this clothing brand since early high school. It's been 10 years in the making. And this video is the first release and the first collection that he will be putting out for sale. So I'm super honored to be a part of that. I talked about in my pre-pro, the concept for this video was to show the ethos behind Malcolm's brand. Bonnie means outcast in French. So their mantra for their entire brand is "We are all outcasts." And he really wanted to capture that. He wanted to capture the nature of what it means to be an outcast. So after talking with Malcolm, we came up with the concept to show him as this main character, as being the outcast. We had 3 setups that we did. One was this really fun editorial style lookbook backdrop type vibe. We ended up in Colin's studio in Philadelphia, and we were able to bring all our gear over there. It was a super controlled environment, and it had a really cool character to it with these raw brick walls. We set up a whole backdrop, which ended up just being a painter's cloth from Home Depot. Yeah, we originally had this idea for this very deep blue cloth, and we needed something that was around 8 to 9 feet across by 12 to 15 feet long. So any sort of fabric wholesaler that we were going to was going to charge us upwards of $200 to $300. We ended up settling on a Home Depot painter's cloth. Like I mentioned, I was able to find a 9 foot by 12 foot, and I also picked up a 6 foot by 9 foot, so that we were able to use the super long one as kind of our backdrop, and then we ended up using the smaller one as like the floor mat almost. And the painter's cloth was literally perfect. We are keeping this thing for other future projects because it was amazing. It was a little bit wrinkly when we opened it up, but we just kind of went through, ironed it out, hung it up, and it was amazing. It looked like a super professional photographer's backdrop. The color itself, I'm super glad we went with this neutral because it ended up being perfect for all of the colors that Malcolm has in his repertoire, in his brand. It was literally Karsten, my DP, Colin, my producer, and myself on set. We were supposed to have a couple other people, but we ended up just rocking it with a pretty tight crew. We had some cancellations last second, but we were like, hey, let's just make this work. Let's have fun with it. And that's exactly what we did. Also, shout out to our main man, Alex, who came on and did all this BTS. He killed it. He also jumped in, did some gripping, PAing, and he's the man. I'll leave his social somewhere on screen here. Yeah, we had all our lights set up, and then we started placing stuff for the actual frame. We knew we had this clothing rack that was going to be really cool for kind of off to the left. We put all of Malcolm's sweatshirts on there to showcase, again, his product. I was able to find this old sewing machine that my mom had just like in our attic, as well as some rolls of fabric that were not exactly solid color, so we couldn't really use them for our purposes, but they were awesome as props that we kind of put off to the side and just made it feel like this really fun BTS type photo shoot. But from there, as far as shots went, we first started with the widest that we were at. We backed up all the way to the opposite wall, made sure everything was good in our frame. Karsten had lighting set, and we started with the first sequence, which was getting Malcolm in every single outfit. We wanted him to stand on his marks directly in the center of the frame so that we could do this really fun flash effect that you'll see in the final edit. But yeah, we just wanted to showcase every one of his outfits. We picked 5, and we were like, okay, what can we make with all the pieces that he had? Made 5 outfits and had him stand in each of them in this wide frame. After we got that super still frame of him standing right in the middle, I had him kind of just freestyle a little bit, walk back and forth, kind of interact with some of the props, and kind of just do his thing. We were blasting music in the studio. It was a ton of fun. It was a good vibe. And yeah, we just sort of had fun with it. After we did this super wide, we kind of came in, but we ended up switching lenses to, I believe it was a 16, and we did this really fun, like fisheye looking thing. 16 is not a fisheye lens, but with kind of the barrel distortion, it gave a really like fun warpy feel to it. So we ended up doing that as well. We had him pick, I believe, 3 of the outfits, and we got back into those and did some more just like freestyle stuff. We were a little bit closer, so we had Malcolm throw some sunglasses on, and we did some really cool reveals of like his newest sunglass line. Karsten put his camera on the ground as well. There's this one shot where it's this fun Dutch angle, and literally he just ended up resting it on the ground, and it sort of just like tilted to the side, and it looks, I was watching the monitor and it just looked so cool. So he was like, yeah, let's shoot this. So yeah, it was funny because all of the backdrop stuff ended up taking a lot longer than we originally wanted. We kind of said that that was okay because we were getting such good stuff in this backdrop scene that we were in this flow state. We didn't want to pull ourselves away. So we kind of just kept going with it. Whatever we thought was cool. If we came up with shot ideas on the fly, we were like, yeah, let's shoot it. But yeah, the flow to the backdrop part of the shoot was we started with our wide. We got our lighting set, got our props set, had him run through all the outfits. Then we punched in, got a little bit closer, but still in this super wide fisheye type vibe. And then after that, we kind of just had him go through all the outfits and did handheld stuff. Whatever we thought looked cool, we did some drag shutter, and again, just had fun with it. After we felt like we got coverage of every single one of the outfits, we moved on to Malcolm's interview, which was this pretty tight, nearsighted angle, high angle on Malcolm. I kind of talked to Malcolm briefly beforehand about the interview. He had mentioned to me possibly wanting to write some sort of monologue, or really just talk about what's on his mind and what he thinks about his brand, what he thinks about his life and his career. He's a very introspective person, and I love that about him. It like really brings out the art in him, and you can really feel that. So I was really cool with just letting him talk and just kind of whatever he wanted to say, talk about. But I was able to ask him some questions to kind of guide his train of thought and to kind of get him telling stories that lent itself to the ethos story we were trying to tell. Once we did that, we also had 2 of Malcolm's friends come by. This was more for our outdoor scene. We were on our way to this grocery store, and we ended up coming by a park that had a bunch of picnic tables. And I thought just for safety, it'd be fun to have them hanging out at a picnic table, chatting away, doing their thing. Again, just lounging, wearing the clothes. We ended up doing that. We shot for about 10-15 minutes, and then we kept going on our way to the next location. We were about halfway there. It was like 3 blocks away, and I heard a huge crack of thunder. Kind of looked at my phone and just decided right then and there, let's not walk another 1.5-2 blocks to this grocery store because I would hate to get caught in the rain. We got back to the studio, and as soon as we got inside, the sky opened up and it started downpouring. So I'm glad we didn't walk all the way over there because it could have been kind of a mess, especially for the camera equipment that we had. And we started setting up for the office scene. Now this is where we had a little bit of mishaps, a little bit of debate on what we were gonna do because we had to change our plan. With the rain, we couldn't put lights outside to simulate moonlight coming through these big garage doors. So this super wide shot that we wanted to try and do wasn't looking extremely possible. After talking it through, we ended up settling with punching in on these very specific tasks that he does during his design process. So we decided to stay at his desk. We honed in on the computer, honed in on his focus. We also did some really fun stuff with like a POV rig. And yeah, we just kept the lighting setup super minimal, super simple. Again, we couldn't get too crazy with putting lights outside. Without doing that, it made it really hard to get super wide because we couldn't motivate light from anywhere. It was pitch black outside. It was pouring rain. And without being able to motivate Moonlight out there, we couldn't really key from anything. Yeah, we were already shooting at 12,800 on Karsten's FX3, without turning on a bunch of the overhead lights. It was a little bit tough, but when we punched in and again focused on these little moments, it made it a lot easier for us to control light. So instead of having a ton of spill on these super wide shots, going in a lot tighter, just made things much easier. So at the end of the day, we ended up wrapping pretty much on time. We said we wanted to start around 2 p.m. I think Karsten, Colin, and I got there around 1 p.m. Just so that we could get everything set up. And I think we wrapped around midnight. So it was a jam-packed day. We were pretty much on schedule. We had a ton of fun. We kind of just followed our guts for most of the day. We did have a lot of that pre-production to fall back on, which was great. But yeah, I think that about covers it. I feel really good about this project. I was talking to Karsten, and it feels like every time we work on something, it just continues to get better and better. And super proud of this, especially the tight kind of crew that we had. Just being really minimal with it, just showing how good of work you can make while still keeping your crew minimal, I think is the message for this one. I'm so thankful for Malcolm trusting us to tell his story. Like I said, he's been working on this clothing brand for 10 years. I'm gonna link and share all of his stuff. Make sure to buy something from Malcolm, go support him because he's an awesome guy. I think that about wraps it up for this week. I plan on dropping the video next week. Karsten will also have an awesome cinematography breakdown, as he always does, and it'll be super in-depth on how we lit everything, so make sure you check that out on his channel. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff happening in the near future, and I'm so thankful. I'm so excited. We just hit like 850 subscribers, which is cool. I didn't have any sort of goal for that. But yeah, that was cool. Like when I started like a few months ago, I think I was around 100 subscribers. So yeah, it's cool to see some growth. I've been feeling really good about where things are going. So yeah, just stay the course, continue to make stuff, have fun. And yeah, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.